Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to talk about one of the most underrated objectives in Ranked, being Reading Room on Kafe. If you guys follow Pro League at all, you would know that Reading Room on Kafe is the best site on this map by far, and there's not much arguing against it. But for some reason, it is by far the least picked objective in Rank, which is a big surprise to me. So for this video, I want to talk about why this is the best site on this map, and a strategy that you guys can implement in your Rank games. So let's get into it. So first, we need to look at each of the objectives and determine which one is the best. The first step to do this is we need to identify where on the map the power positions are for the defenders. Power positions are spots that defenders are able to sit that are very hard for attackers to push and overall very safe for the defender. We also want to look for power positions to be places that give the defenders a lot of map control from the attackers. So the first power position we could see here is the corner of piano room, as well as the whole eastern side of Cocktail, which this includes the staircase as well. The reason why these are power positions is because if the attackers want to push you in the corner of piano, they have to cross through this open area where there's no cover and they're exposed to so many different angles, as well as vertical play or C4s from below. Same applies for if they decide to push Cocktail. They'll either push down the white hallway where they'll have to deal with the very difficult challenge on someone sitting on the staircase, or they could decide to push through the bar, which once again they'll be exposed to many different angles, as well as vertical play or C4s from below. So by now you can see that these two spots are very strong. So because of this, you might be thinking right now, doesn't this mean Cocktail is the best objective? However, that is not the case. This just means that Cocktail area is the best area to defend, but the best bomb site to play is actually the area below, being Reading Room. And let me explain why. If the attackers are able to take control of Cocktail while the site is Cocktail, then you're most likely going to end up losing the round. But if the site is Reading, you can gain all the benefits of playing a Cocktail hold, but with no drawbacks, because if you lose the hold of Cocktail, you still could fall back and have the Reading objective. So now let's build a strategy that focuses on holding Cocktail as efficiently as possible. But before I start this, I just want to address one thing that people might be thinking. And that is, did attackers really have to take control of Cocktail? Could they go for a different type of push? And the answer to that question is really no, they don't have to take advantage of Cocktail. But for the most part, attackers will decide to take control of the top floor first and work their way down. But they could definitely choose to go for a mining take and go for a fireplace push. So because of this, let's start off our strategy by talking with what we do with the fireplace objective. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to make 2 feet level holes on both the fireplace and reading room wall. If you do this, then a player playing in Reading Room will have a nice one-way angle on attackers who are crouching through the fireplace. This will make it almost impossible for attackers to be able to crouch through this fireplace and try to contest the player in Reading Room. But the way we make this even better is we also make a rotation hole in the wall leading to white stairs. This is going to make it so there's so many angles that the attackers have to watch while crouching through the fireplace and make it impossible to push. So because of this, you could probably see very quickly, we really only need 2 players playing on site to be able to stop a fireplace attack. And if they decide to go for any other second floor attack without taking control of Cocktail first, then all the people that are sitting above can just open up vertical angles and watch from above. So you still don't have to worry about that if they go for the second floor only. Okay, so far we learned that you don't need to invest a lot of utility into defending fireplace, and we really only need 2 people on site. So now let's talk about the reinforcements we want on this floor. First, we want to reinforce the 2 walls towards the pillar. This is going to protect the person playing in Reading Room. Then we also want to reinforce the walls next to the fireplace to force the attackers to funnel in and crouch through the fireplace. Next, we want to reinforce the other wall on white stairs. This is a possible position for someone to play if they're pushing in fireplace. And the final reinforcement on this floor is going to be in laundry with a rotation hole next to it. And I'll explain why we do this in a little bit. As for operators, I would definitely say you want to mute in Reading, because he'll have the ability to make these rotation holes, as well as he has a C4, which will come in handy much later. But we'll get to that soon. The other operator I would recommend is Pulse. This one could be switched out for Valkyrie, but you definitely want someone that has C4 and definitely want someone that can give you information. Me personally, I think Pulse is the better option here. So now let's talk about how we're going to defend the Cocktail area upstairs. So remember, we have 3 people playing up here, so we're going to try to utilize the concept known as crossfire, as well as the power positions like we talked about earlier. So first up, we're going to use wall mine on white stairs. Then we'll have Castle playing Cocktail, and finally we'll have Jaeger play in between them. So this will give Jaeger and Castle a crossfire onto Bar, while Jaeger and Wamai will also have a crossfire onto Whitehall. And then the final thing we have to do to make these crossfires work is we're going to put up a reinforcement next to Castle and a reinforcement on the 2 walls next to Jaeger. Now the first thing that might come to your mind when you see this is what's going to stop someone from thermiting Habana or using Maverick on the wall to get it open. So the answer to this is not really simple, because there's not one thing we rely on, but it's a bunch of different things. So firstly, we're going to place a mute jammer on the wall. This is not a guarantee stop, but it will help out a little bit. Next, we'll rely on vertical play. Like I mentioned earlier, we want both people playing downstairs to have C4. This is because the whole floor in Bar and Cigar is destructible. If the person that's trying to get the wall is Thermite and Maverick, it's very easy for the mute to C4 him from below. Now if it's a Bond or Ace, it could be a little harder, but it's still definitely possible. What you want him to do is he's got to shoot out the floor right below the wall, as you can see right here, and he'll be able to destroy the Habana charges or the Ace gadget off the wall. That's not all the vertical play that these two site players will be contributing though. Like I said before, Pulse will be in train room, and he'll be able to use his gadget to give off information for people in piano, as well as go for a C4 kill. After he uses up his C4, then he can head over to reading room and help Mute get a C4 kill as well. So overall, if you guys are effective at using your Pulse and Mute together, you can get 1 or 2 kills every round with just the C4s alone. And then after you guys both use up your C4s, Mute can go back to just playing in reading room, or he can open up vertical angles above him with a shotgun to sit there and watch. And Pulse can continue to make calls for his team if they're pushing upstairs. This overall will make it much harder for the attackers to push those people sitting upstairs in Cocktail. So now that we talked about how we're going to stop them from breaching the wall, the one other thing you might notice that could be a threat to our players playing up in Cocktail is the 3 windows along the east side of the wall. So that's where Castle's going to come in. This is not a guarantee that the team won't open them, but if they do see them, it's going to waste a lot of time and utility for them to go over there and break them all. However, if you know they're going for those castle windows, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want your site players to either do a run out at pillar or garage while they are repelling on the side of the building. This leaves the attackers very exposed to a lot of run out opportunities, and it leaves them in a very bad position. Finally, we'll do a few more things to make it even harder for the attackers to push Cocktail. We'll place down all of Jaeger's ADSs, as well as some mute jammers around the 3rd floor. As well as we want to give these guys the most information as possible. So we're going to use Castle's proximity mines to use one in the white hallway, as well as Jaeger's bulletproof cam in Cocktail to see into the bar. And the final thing we'll do is Wamai will place his shield right here in this spot, which Jaeger will be able to play behind and will be very hard for the attackers to push. By now you might see that this strategy could be very strong, but we're going to add one more concept onto it. And that's going to be retreating and wasting as much time and utility as possible. As the defenders on the top floor, you don't ever need to be going for kills. You just want to sit there, shoot drones, run down the clock, and force the attackers to make a move. If the attackers do decide to push aggressively, then you could go for a kill opportunity, but you want to make sure that if they're pushing Bar, Castle and Jaeger peek together for that crossfire. And if they're pushing Whitehall, Wamai and Jaeger peek together. Now let's talk about when you should fall back. Now this is the hardest thing to talk about because it's really completely up to you guys and the situation that's going on. But no matter what, the one thing you always have to remember is when one of you wants to fall back, everyone else has to fall back. There's no point of 1 or 2 of you falling back and another one staying up there. When someone wants to fall, everyone falls back. So what I'm going to do is I'll go through some example situations real quick and talk about some tips on when you should fall back so you can get some idea. So if all 5 attackers are upstairs and they can really only go through the Whitehall and Bar and don't open up any of the walls, you really don't want to fall back at all. You want to stay there as long as possible. Now if they manage to breach the hole and freezer, or if they destroy any of the castle barricades, then you probably want to instantly fall back. Now if they manage to get an early pick on someone upstairs, you never want to fall back in this situation. Instead, you should get someone from downstairs to rotate up and take a spot. And finally, if you manage to get 2 or 3 kills, that is the perfect time to fall back. You have the man advantage, you could fall back, waste more time, that's perfect. You always want to be falling with the man advantage. So overall, if you want to fall back when you have the man advantage and when the clock is lower than 1 minute and 30 seconds. This will leave the attackers in a very hard time to figure out how they want to execute on the point and figure out how they want to plant with having such a little bit amount of time left. Finally, let's talk about what you will do after you fall back. The first position I would recommend is the bottom of white stairs. There is a good chance that someone will end up coming down the white stairs and won't have the time to check it because the clock will be so low, so it could be a very free kill. Another position I would definitely recommend is laundry. This will give the person in reading crossfire into the default plant in reading room. In addition, I still think pulse should be in train room, stop anyone from pushing in fireplace, as well as he can go through fireplace and look through the feed hole to control 90. This makes it so no one can come up 90 and shoot the reading room player or the laundry room player in the back. And the final one, if you have all people alive, is really up to you. What I would suggest is that they play downstairs, and then they would do a light flank up the brown stairs or the red stairs. If they do one up the brown stairs, you are a little bit exposed, but a lot of attackers won't be expecting this when the clock's running down. And you could also use this with poles coming out of mining room to do another flank with them, so you have two people there. So that could be something that could work out very well. Alright, so now we're going to do a quick recap on our strategy so you guys can see how you can implement it. So we're going to use the benefits of a cocktail defense on a reading room objective. For the site players, you don't have to worry about people pushing train room through fireplace because we're going to put the holes in the fireplace wall so you can see their feet. Now, those people on site also really want to focus on vertical play and getting as much C4 kills and wall denial upstairs as possible. And for the upstairs players, we're utilizing power positions and crossfires to our advantage. Also, now we know when the best time is to fall back. So all these reasons is why I strongly believe that reading room is the best objective on Kafe, and honestly, it's really not that hard of a strategy to pull off. Probably the hardest and most complicated part to execute in this strategy is knowing when to correctly fall back, but that will just come with time and practice. I want to thank you guys for watching this video today. If you liked it, please give us a like down below. Subscribe if you are new. Don't miss any of our videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.